Hey, 4xe fans, I'm out in the garage where my Jeep would normally be parked. And as you can see, it's not here. And that's because it's in the shop. Now, this video is an attempt at being transparent. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm not trying to be hateful. I'm not trying to be negative. But if it's one thing I've tried to do with this channel, it's to be fair to everything involved and to be honest and transparent. So my Jeep is sitting in the shop because the electric coolant heater failed again. This is the second time this has happened with this Jeep. And that to me is frustrating because that electric coolant heater, was a known high failure rate device when the 4xe was released. It had already spent time failing in the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid minivan. It had already been like a thing in the Pack High community. That's called the Pacifica hybrid. That's what they call those things, the Pack Highs. And it had already been a known issue for a couple of years when the 4xe came out. And so to me, it's amazingly frustrating that my first one failed in 2021, and we have seen in the 4xe fans Facebook group, we have seen a pretty high failure rate. We're estimating around a 20% failure rate of that particular part. And that to me is a failure of leadership. That's a failure on the part of the supplier of that part. And it's a failure on the part of Jeep for not demanding more of its vendors. You know, if I go 5 or 6 years and I continue to see an issue with a vendor, my relationship with that vendor is going to be strained and probably terminated, because if you can't produce a part that is more dependable than that, then it's time for us to part ways and you go find somebody else to deal with. Now, here's the thing about that part. It's also being used by, I think, Jaguar and Lucid in their electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles, I don't know which, and apparently it's a high failure rate with them as well. So it boggles my mind that there's something hasn't been changed in that something hasn't been improved in that. Beyond that, I want to, like I said, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to be transparent and true to my experience as a 4xe owner. Keep in mind, I have the first 4xe that a customer has owned. Outside of the engineering models that some people had, I had the first delivery in 331 of 21. So I've been a fan from the start. I've been a fan from the beginning of this vehicle. And I'm still a fan, at least I want to be, but my fandom is getting damaged because of the dependability of this Jeep that should be sitting here instead of sitting in a shop. Now, we are a family of 4. We have 5 vehicles. I have a Ford Transit Connect minivan. My son has a Countryman. My other son, until recently, had a 2013 Insight, and now he has a 2012, what is that, a Civic? I don't even know. My wife, until recently, had a 2019 CRV. We now have the 25 Prologue. Of all those 7 vehicles that we have had in our family over the past 4 years, my 21 Jeep Wrangler 4xe has spent the most time of the shop than all of these other vehicles combined. That is telling to me that there is a quality issue at Jeep that is not being addressed. And if issues linger on for years and are not being addressed, again, not trying to be negative, just trying to be honest and sincere, that is a failure of leadership at Jeep. That is a failure of leadership, and there's no way to discount that. There's no way to brush that off. Somebody in quality control is asleep at the wheel. And I know my words sound caustic and critical, but here's the thing. Here's my experience. Here's what's going on. I'm working on a deck right now in my backyard. I'm trying to rebuild the thing. I need to go get some boards. The only vehicle I have that has a trailer hitch is my Jeep. That's the vehicle I'm depending on, that I need to run to a Lowe's that's about 40 minutes north of here because my regular Lowe's doesn't carry the boards that I need. but I need my trailer to do that. I can't do that because I have nothing else to pull my trailer with, because I'm depending on having my Jeep to be reliable to get me there. This morning, my wife and I go to our church early. I play drums in our worship team, and I need to get over there early, and she usually comes later, and we just had to have the conversation. How are we going to get there? So she's getting ready early so she can drop me off over there. And this has gone on multiple times. I mean, I've been thinking about sitting down and keeping track of the days that my Jeep has spent in the shop. And it's frustrating to me how much time it has been in the shop and how many times we've had to have these exact same conversations, like, do you want me to go to church and take the car and then you come back home and get you, or do you want to get ready early and take me? I mean, I know it sounds minuscule. It sounds like a first world problem, but we shouldn't have to have those conversations repeatedly over and over and over again. Now, right now, I should have a loaner. The dealership didn't have loaners. I could press the issue and get a rental, but then there's just the logistics of dealing with getting a rental and taking it back. And I was hoping this repair would be done kind of quickly, but unfortunately, they ran into another problem when they were replacing the electric coolant heater, that one of the pins in the wiring harness got stuck in the connector and ripped out when they went to replace the part. And they don't keep that part of the wiring harness in stock. He was going to have to order it. Hopefully we'll get it Tuesday. But oddly enough, this dealership is now stocking the electric coolant heater because of the failure rate of it, because of the high failure rate, both in the Chrysler Pacifica minivan and in the Wrangler and Grand Cherokee 4xe. They're actually stocking that ECH now because of how many times they've seen it fail. So I don't know. I'm frustrated this morning, I'm hoping somebody from Jeep sees this. I'm hoping somebody shares it with somebody at Jeep and says, we want better out of our vehicles. My wife's, she had a 2019 CRV. I can't believe how dependable the thing was, how few times, it never had to be worked on as a repair. We only did maintenance items to it. My son's Countryman, we've replaced a 12-volt battery in it. It's a 2019, but there have been no repairs on that vehicle, just maintenance. My other son's, his Insight's a little different story because he drove it bad and caused issues. We did have to do repairs to that. But what I'm getting at, like this old 2016 Ford minivan, the mechanics think pretty poorly of this thing, but doggone it, it's been more dependable than my Jeep Wrangler. So that's a Ford. I'd hate to even admit that a Ford has a better quality than my Jeep. Who wants to even admit to that? So I'm just sharing all this in hopes that somebody at Jeep gets the message. Whoever's at the sleep asleep at the wheel when it comes to quality control, wake up, see what's going on, hear from your customers that are frustrated, because here's the end result of this. I've had 4 Jeeps in my life. I had a 78 CJ5, I had an 81 and a half CJ8 Scrambler, I had a 95 Wrangler that I bought new, and I've had my 21, and I am debating heavily right now, do I want to keep that vehicle beyond 100,000 miles? I'm doing that debate right now because all of these repairs would be kind of pricey, and I'm at that point where there's a lot of other vehicles on the market. I want my Jeep for what it does. I like to go off-roading. I like to do all that stuff. But I'm at the 70,000 mile mark. I've got 30,000 miles to make a decision if I'm going to keep this thing long term. And that's hard for me to admit out loud because I've been a fan of this thing since it came out. And I've been rooting for it and hoping for it. I started this channel. I started the Facebook 4xe Fans Facebook group. And, I've been in it from the beginning. And I'm at that point where I'm like, I might have to make a decision I don't like over the next 30,000 miles to just get rid of it, because I'm too concerned about what it's going to cost me to keep it on the road, in the long term. So that's just me being honest. I don't mean to vent, but I'm hoping somebody at Jeep gets this video and understands some of what some of our customers are going through. Now, I know not everybody has major issues with their 4xe. I know a lot of people have no issues and their vehicles just run great. And that is the majority of people, that is their experience. But some of us are frustrated. And I'm hoping somebody somewhere can see this and realize there needs to be some changes done at Jeep to improve the quality of these things, because if I have to make that decision as to whether I'm going to keep this 4xe beyond the 100,000 mile mark, if I have to make that decision, Jeep is not on my radar as far as my next vehicle goes. And I know people at Jeep could care less because, you know, they sold me a Jeep and they got their money. But it's going to be really difficult for me to consider another Jeep if these quality issues aren't addressed and addressed well. Thanks for watching. Take care.